I'm really excited to finally start this channel and start giving you guys some content and maybe helping you guys reach some of your goals. Um, so there's this big movement worldwide. You probably heard of it, everywhere. It probably doesn't make any sense to you if you haven't done any research about it, but it's the ketogenic diet. And I just wanted to start this channel here to kind of help you guys out and answer any questions you have and kind of just pass along some of the knowledge that I've gained, researching this particular topic. In this channel, on this page, I'm mostly going to talk about, the keto diet, how to properly get into ketosis and get started with this. I'm a huge fan of intermittent fasting. I believe that they go hand in hand. And maybe some other fitness tips. The food pyramid.
Bullshit.
Carbs are actually not an essential nutrient. There's a bunch of essential nutrients that we do need, and carbohydrates is not one of them. In fact, our bodies run better off of zero carbs. So our whole lives, we've been led to believe that carbohydrates should be the basis of our diet, the standard American diet, the SAD diet. I don't have a degree in nutrition and or neuroscience or anything like that. I don't believe that you necessarily need a degree to be knowledgeable on a certain subject. And as the last couple years, nutrition and fitness is just it's grown to be a huge passion of mine. And I figure that the stuff I've learned, it took me a while and it took me a lot of research, and now I just kind of want to pass along the knowledge to help others kind of transform their lives. The idea that we need to eat carbs and sugars, and the fact that we have to immediately wake up and start pounding bagels and toast and breakfast cereal into our face to have energy throughout the day, and that whole thing is just it's really misleading and a huge reason that we in America are facing such a huge obesity problem, myself included, as of a couple of years ago. And so I just wanted to clear this up first, that we don't need carbs to survive. Yes, they can be a useful tool in certain situations. Actually, our brains and our bodies actually function better off something called ketones. Now, I might have lost you there. The whole ketogenic diet is based off the fact that once we deplete our body of all of its glycogen stores and deplete our body of glucose, other than that reserve that our liver holds for us in emergency situations, for emergency purposes, our main source of energy then switches from glucose, which is blood sugar, to these little things called ketone bodies. The thing about carbs is carbs actually get turned into sugar, blood sugar, glucose, right? You'll notice that on a carbohydrate-based diet, which most of you are probably on, what happens, you go smash a large, pizza or like a pack of tacos, and don't get me wrong, I love tacos, but you eat these large, amounts of carbohydrates, and what happens, a couple hours later, you're hungry again, you're tired, all that energy that you got was just a temporary thing, and now you feel like you're crashing again, and it's hard to make it through the work day, and all you're thinking about is, when can I get that lunch break and go eat another carb-loaded meal. And this can all be avoided by kind of transferring your whole way of eating into what's called a keto diet. So the basis of a keto diet is you're basically taking your whole body's method for producing energy, and changing it to run on something completely different, something called ketones. So our bodies take carbohydrates and we convert it into blood sugar or glucose. Quickest source of food for the brain. After our supply of glucose is run out, we start to crash. We run out of energy, and our body starts, saying, "Give me more, give me more. I need more of that pizza. I need more of that, that pasta." So basically, if we deprive our bodies of all these carbs, these high glycemic carbs, even carbs that are, viewed as healthier, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, brown rice, whole grain breads, stuff like that. We're basically gonna die, right? We're no way we're gonna be able to get out of bed in the morning. There's no way we'd be able to go to the gym and work out. There's no way we'd be able to make it through a work day. We need carbs, right? It's our life source, and that's just a load of crap. Basically, what happens is if we stop eating these carbs, basically our liver produces these things called ketone bodies in the form of beta hydroxybutyrate, acetone, and acetoacetate. So these are little bursts of energy that our body actually runs super efficiently on, as opposed to the idea that we can only get our energy from carbohydrates. It's quite amazing what our bodies can do without carbs, and how efficiently our brains function and our bodies function in general without the presence of carbohydrates. Our bodies actually run way more efficiently off of fats, which is the opposite of what we've been told our whole life. So for some people, that's really hard to buy, and I understand it, don't get me wrong. I believed the same way, along with thousands of others who have kind of entered into this huge life-changing path. So to get into the state of ketosis, which is where your body is actually converted from running off of ketones as opposed to running off of glucose, you'll need to immediately cut out all carbs. Now, this is a diet that you can't cheat on. If you cheat, it just ruins the whole thing, and you've wasted your time, and you have to start all over again. So this is not the diet that you get the cheat day on the weekends for. I'll talk more about cycling in and out of the ketogenic diet later on in some other videos. You can't eat any carbs other than like green leafy vegetables, maybe some nuts, really low glycemic carbs. You're gonna have to go through a adaptation phase. Now, this is not to be confused with being efficiently fat adapted. That happens later on. That can take anywhere from a month to 3 months to 6 months. This adaptation phase is going to take anywhere from a week minimum to about 3 weeks, and during this time you're going to experience things like brain fog. You're going to be lethargic. You're not going to feel a whole lot of energy. I wouldn't suggest trying to go to the gym and cranking out, a heavy workout. And you might develop some digestive issues, because your body is like kind of going to be in a state of shock. Like, what's going on? Where's my carbs? Where's my pizza? Where's my pasta? And you're going to really have to stick to it and, kind of just push through. This diet isn't for people who aren't committed and who can't dedicate their lives to something to better themselves. If you don't really want to do this, it's like quitting smoking cigarettes, which I also went through a couple years ago, and it's one of those things where if you're not fully committed to it, then there's no point of really trying to do it. Now, I say this adaptation period can take a few weeks, right? There is a way to bypass those few weeks of adaptation, and it's kind of hard, but if you can make yourself do it, I think it's the most worthwhile. You would want to go on a fast for about 2 to 3 days. Now, The thing about ketogenic diet and fasting is they kind of go hand in hand, because a ketogenic diet actually mimics the physiology of being in a fasted state. See, when we're in a fasted state, our body naturally produces ketones to kind of say, whoa, we need to have a source of energy, or else our body is going to eat itself alive, and we're going to break down muscle tissue, and it's just not healthy, right? So our bodies are equipped to produce these things called ketones. You can skip the adaptation period by going into a 2 to 3 day fast. Now, this fast has to be a 0-calorie fast. Just water, maybe small amounts of black coffee, and that's debatable. Maybe green tea, no sweeteners of any kind. Even artificial sweeteners can ruin it for you, because they kind of create a placebo effect, even though they don't necessarily have calories in them. I didn't do this when I first converted to ketosis. I actually didn't really know about that, so I went through the 3-week period, which was hell. I'm not gonna lie, but I stuck through it, and I'm reaping the benefits from it still, and I just don't see myself ever giving this up and putting it down for good. Where people fail is in this 3-week, 2-week, month adaptation phase. If you're not doing the fasting, you're gonna have to go through 3 weeks of hell, and it's no fun if you do it the way I did and the way that most people do it now, because they don't have the proper knowledge and didn't do the proper research before entering into this. So you can avoid this keto flu that everybody warns you about by just doing a couple things. And I just want to point out that when our bodies are full of carbs, those carbs are making us retain water, right? It's kind of a big percentage of our weight is just water. And once our muscle glycogen and liver glycogen is, for the most part depleted, we are going to release all this water, right? You're going to start going to the bathroom a lot, and you're going to start dropping a lot of weight, maybe even 10 to 15 pounds in your first couple weeks, which most people get excited about, but it's not necessarily a good thing. You want to kind of, lose weight at a more gradual pace. It's more, it's more permanent and a lot more beneficial for you. So the reason that you're dropping this weight and releasing all this water, as I said, is you're depleting all the carbs in your body. Well, once all this water gets released, you're actually releasing a lot of minerals and micronutrients that your body actually really needs to function properly. One of the most important ones are the electrolytes. Now you've heard of electrolytes in Powerades and Gatorades and all those other garbage sugary foods and drinks, and there's a reason they put those in sports drinks. Make sure you're keeping up on your electrolytes. You can go to the store like Vitamin Shop or Size Up even, or GNC, and you can purchase a cheap box of these electrolyte packets, and you just dump them in your water. I mean, they got good flavors and stuff. Make sure you get the 0-calorie ones, just sea salt or Himalayan pink rock salt, and these will basically keep the electrolytes in your body. Now you want to be taking a few doses of these a day. I wouldn't suggest potassium supplements per se, because the dose that we can get in America is like 100 milligrams of potassium, and our daily intake is actually around 4,000 milligrams of potassium a day. Now you can get your potassium through some of the basic keto foods such as avocados, which have like 1,000 milligrams of potassium, so I would highly recommend those. Another one is spinach. These all have way more potassium than bananas, which you're going to want to avoid because it's a high glycemic food, and it will raise your blood sugar immediately. So the whole idea is that we want to keep insulin at a low. You'll actually feel it when you get into this state of ketosis. There's a variety of benefits to being in a state of ketosis, not just nutritionally, but mentally and medically as well. This diet started out as a way to treat little kids with epilepsy as like kind of like a miracle treatment. Now it's being used in hundreds of cancer centers all around the world as a treatment for cancers because tumors actually feed off glucose. They need glucose to grow, and by depleting your body of glucose, the tumors literally, in theory, will stop growing because they have nothing to feed off of. It's still being used for epilepsy. It's being used to treat diabetes. So the keto diet is not a diet where you're going to be dropping, mass amounts of weight every week, and it's not one that the scale is going to be your best friend. What's different about the keto diet is that you're basically just cutting fat because you're running off of these ketones, which are fat molecules. So you're burning isolated fat off your body, which means your body is not burning its lean muscle mass. A lot of other diets, you're losing weight in general, and you don't realize that just because you're losing weight means you're losing fat, and the other way around. You can't isolate what's being burned off your body if your body is still running off of glucose. In this state of ketosis, you're running off virtually an unlimited supply of energy, which is all this stuff. All the fat on your body is there for your body to feed off of. You really don't even need to eat, but maybe once a day, and you can actually go days. I've went days without eating anything at all, and still been just burning fat and haven't lost any lean muscle mass at all, because your body is just running off of these ketones. It's burning only fat. So this is a huge diet, among bodybuilders and physique competitors. For that reason, it's amazing to me that for so long people have been practicing this bulking and cutting phase BS and thinking that the healthiest, best way to getting a lean physique and achieving their goals at the gym is to basically bulk up and stuff their face with carbs and cupcakes and pizzas for basically eat whatever they want for a certain amount of time, and then once they get the mass that they want, which is mostly just fat and water, they want to cut and go back to stuffing chicken breast down their throat and broccoli and maybe a little bit of rice or whatever. And it's really mind-boggling to me. I see that with my own eyes that this isn't working. People are getting fat and then they're getting skinnier, and then they're getting fat and they're getting skinnier. They're making progress and then losing all their progress for like maybe a tiny bit of muscle growth, but the majority is they're just bulking up and getting fatter. The thing about the keto diet is that you're going to be slowly building muscle as long as you're working out, and you're going to be preserving whatever muscle you have, and you're going to be burning the fat off of your lean body mass. I myself have literally proved this. Over the last 5 months in ketosis, I've lost about 20 pounds. My body fat percentage has went down about 8 or 9%, and I'm growing muscle and getting stronger and seeing more definition and making huge strides at the gym, and I'm doing it slowly and steadily. This isn't something I do for a few weeks and then I stop and eat whatever I want and then do for a few weeks and so on and so forth. That's just no way to live. Sugar, our hugest enemy physically, is like this drug. The part of the brain that is actually stimulated by sugar is the same part of our brain that's stimulated by cocaine and heroin and all these other drugs and other stimulants, and sugar is basically a drug. Try taking it away and see what your brain does, and see how bad you are craving these sugary products until you're actually adapted to not having them. It's a huge problem, and especially America. And my biggest aim is to get people to stop eating sugar. There are no benefits of sugar. Um, it's a huge cause for obesity and diabetes, and it's just, I feel, the biggest downfall of the SAD diet, the standard American diet. Being in a state of ketosis, we no longer crave these foods. People don't believe me when I say this. Try any restricted diet out there, and one thing you'll notice is that it's very hard to keep our minds and our eyes and our hands off of these delicious carb-loaded foods. Um, with the keto diet, that's not a problem. You lose all your cravings for these kind of foods, and it just becomes so easy to not eat. You know, as Joe Rogan put it.
When you're on a fat-based, fat-burning diet, the even knowing that you're hungry is a different knowing. It's like it's in the other room.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like next to you, sitting on your shoulder, yelling in your ear, "Come on, man, let's eat."
It's not like an overwhelming feeling. It's just more of like, okay, well, you know, I should probably eat. That's, you know, that's one of the hugest benefits to ketosis. First question is, so what am I eating? Where am I getting these fats? And how much fat should I eat? You know, how many carbs am I allowed to eat? How much protein am I allowed to eat? Well, to get into a state of ketosis, you want to be eating 80% of your daily calories from fat. 70 to 80 will still put you in a state of ketosis. You want to be deriving 20 to 25% of your calories from protein and 5% or less from carbs. 30 grams is like the max. To be as efficient as possible and to be sure that you get into that state of ketosis that you want to get into, I would suggest eating well under even 20 carbs, 20 grams of carbs. I myself, when I went through it, I stayed at about 10 grams of carbs, and only through leafy vegetables, leafy green vegetables. You want to stay away from the high glycemic vegetables and high glycemic fruits. Those are not going to do you any favors. So another thing, a huge mistake that people make when going on the keto diet is they think for some reason that, you know, protein is unlimited and you can eat all the protein you want. This is false. Protein in excess will actually be converted into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis, which will throw you out of ketosis. So you really need to limit that protein to 20 and 25% of your calories. Now, calories aren't a huge deal in this keto diet. Not saying you can stuff your face with as many calories as you want, but the primary idea behind this is the macro ratio. So if your calories are, you know, fluctuated between, you know, a couple hundred calories, it's not going to be that big a deal. But you want to be in about a 500 calorie deficit to ensure that you're going to be losing weight and losing fat, more specifically. A good way to determine how many calories you should be eating is you should take your weight in pounds and multiply it by 14 to 16 calories. So once you get that number, which is your daily maintenance, you take that number and you minus 500 calories, and that'll put you in a pretty good deficit. There's also tons of online, you know, macro calculators, which you can enter, you know, your age and your weight and other of these, you know, variable factors to get a more accurate reading of how many calories you should be consuming based on your lifestyle, whether you're active or more sedentary. So you can do that too. I personally found the app, the Keto app. I can't remember who makes it, but I know you just look up Keto app in the App Store or the, you know, the Android store, and it kind of works the same way as MyFitnessPal, only it's more directed towards, you know, specifically being keto. But MyFitnessPal works too. You just need to be able to see the numbers and track the food that you're eating. It works great because you can literally just scan the barcodes of your food and it'll show you, you know, the amount of all the macronutrients in that food. and you'll know how many calories you're eating, how much fat you're eating, how much protein you're eating, and how many carbs you're eating. And it basically organizes it for you, because guys, the easier your life can be and the more organized it can be, the more success and the more chance for success you're going to have. So I highly suggest you download that app. Well, what are you eating? Where are you getting all this fat from? You know, how are you maintaining an 80% fat intake? And you know, I don't want people to think that I'm just slamming down butter and coconut oil all day. That's not the case. Most food that I eat is really great and really satiating, and the most enjoyable diet I've ever really been on, which makes it really easy to stay committed to. So let's go look at what I'm eating. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys the basic staples of the ketogenic diet. This is basically what most people base their whole diet off of. Whether or not you want to go look up online recipes on, you know, a little bit more diverse, you know, creative ways to utilize these foods, that's all up to you. Me personally, I used to be all about making big fancy meals and being all, you know, creative, and now I just kind of eat for fuel, not so much pleasure. And so it doesn't really matter to me. You know, I like my eggs, you know, just eggs. I like, you know, my salads, and you know, I like, you know, a bunch of just simple meals. But occasionally, you know, I will, you know, go out and try to, you know, make something, maybe imitate another food that I can't have and make it like a keto version of that food, which is really useful, especially in the adaptation phase, when you're kind of just, you know, craving those foods that you can't eat anymore. First thing, the king of the keto diet is the avocado. Like I said before, tons of potassium, and a great fat to protein to carb ratio. Now these have about 12 carbs in them for one medium avocado, but in this diet what you want to be counting is not carbs but net carbs. So it's basically the carbs that are actually being absorbed into your body, because a lot of the carbs in an avocado and other vegetables are going to be mostly dietary fiber, which is not actually absorbed into your body, but basically just, you know, helps with digestion. These are just great, guys. I eat at least one avocado every day. Like I said, it's 1,000 milligrams of potassium, and you really need potassium in this diet. Cheese, yes. On this diet, you can eat cheese. I love cheese. For the first 2.5 years that I was, you know, dieting and trying all these different kind of diets, a lot of them worked, no doubt. I mean, I had great success with a variety of other diets. Keto is not the only diet out there, I promise you that. I know a lot of people who have had great success with a bunch of other diets that are totally opposite of keto, so don't get that idea from me at all. Keto is not the only way to live, but keto is the diet that lets you have cheese. I love cheese. You can have all kinds of cheese. You can either choose to eat or not to eat dairy products. Some people are lactose intolerant. Some people's bodies just don't really react well with dairy products, and it's kind of hard for them to lose weight or fat, you know, with dairy. But for most people, you can eat dairy on this keto diet, and dairy products like sour cream and cottage cheese and cheese, they have a lot of good fat in them. And when you buy a dairy product or any product, don't go for the low fat food. You want the full fat food. Something that I would not recommend to eat, you know, every single day. Bacon isn't the, you know, healthiest form of fat and protein that you're going to get out there, but it is definitely allowed, and you can definitely make serious strides while enjoying some bacon every now and then. The thing that I eat the most of, because I have chickens, I have about 20 chickens. The biggest, you know, part of my diet is eggs. I love eggs. I eat eggs every day. Sometimes I'll eat a dozen eggs a day. They are just fantastic. You can make egg salad. You can make, you know, omelet.
You can barbecue it, boil it, broil it, bake it, saute it.
And you know, I eat my eggs over easy or over medium. The egg is the most efficient and nutrient dense source of protein out there. It's got the full spectrum of branched chain amino acids in it, and they're very high in leucine especially. And these are kind of like nature's little miracle. Do not split your egg yolks from your egg whites. Eat the whole egg. The most nutrients is in the yolk. Spinach. Love spinach. Gotta put it on everything. I'm a huge salad guy, like I said before. So when I get home, at night and I, make my, my afternoon or evening salad, I put spinach. I'll put some green cabbage, some romaine hearts, and definitely broccoli. You want broccoli because it's it's a great source of fiber, and a bunch of other stuff in there too. This kale, I don't really like kale, but this particular kale, I can't remember what it's called. I buy this every time, and it is just like, it's like really great if you cook it. You can cook it in with your food, because I'll usually make like a stir fry and then put it into my salad. I'm going to show you guys a bunch of stuff you can make later on in some other videos. Heavy whipping cream. I am sure you guys, if you've heard anything about keto, you've heard about the bulletproof coffee, which consists of heavy whipping cream and butter, which I like to use Kerrygold butter. A lot of people say you want the grass-fed butter. I'm all about organic foods and, natural foods, grass-fed, cage-free, stuff like that. But a lot of times, if I don't see it at the grocery store, I won't not buy something because it's not organic. For one, I don't really buy, the whole, I don't necessarily believe that just because it says it's organic that it is organic. But that's just because I have some trust issues, and I don't really trust a lot of things that the government regulates. I love to put garlic in my food along with, like I said, salt and pepper and other spices. Turmeric is a key spice that you should be using like every day. I mean, it tastes amazing, and it's got a variety of health benefits as well, including being the most anti-inflammatory spice there is, next to ginger and a couple other spices. But I highly suggest you start putting turmeric in your food. You'll definitely notice the difference, especially in your joints. And I eat this avocado oil mayo. You can get this at Costco. Bolthouse Farms makes some really good dressings. I like the avocado dressing and the blue cheese dressing. Whatever you're getting, just make sure it's high fat, low carbs, moderate protein, and you can't go wrong. As far as condiments go, you're definitely good with mustard. I'm a huge chili head, so I put hot sauce on everything. It's totally fine. Nuts. I specifically choose macadamia nuts because they're high fat, low carb, and same goes with pecans. I love my pecans, and my favorite nuts are the Brazil nuts. Now, these are high in selenium, so you don't want to eat more than 4 or 5 a day. You can actually get selenium poisoning, but they're very nutritious and they fit perfectly into the ketogenic lifestyle. If you're going to do the method where you're going to do what's called intermittent fasting, which I'll get to more specifically in another video, whether or not you're going to be doing that actually, it's either way is just as important to consume probiotics and prebiotics. Now, a good example of a prebiotic is garlic, onions. You can look up a list of good prebiotics on the internet. And probiotics, you want to eat a good amount of probiotics that will help you with digestion. And one probiotic that I really love is sauerkraut. I get a good organic sauerkraut. You can get this at Costco. And any other fermented foods. I'm also huge on apple cider vinegar. And just like cottage cheese. These are all like fermented foods, and they will basically put the good bacteria that you want in your gut, and are very important as far as digestion. And and see, the problem is when we've been given antibiotics and stuff, the antibiotics actually kill the bacteria in our gut that we want there, which leaves us susceptible to all these problems. So you definitely want to make sure you're building up a good amount of probiotics and good bacteria in your gut to promote gut health. I'm sure if you've heard of keto, you've definitely heard all about the butter chuggers and, you know, the bulletproof coffee rage, right? So I like to just stick with a regular, you know, dark roast coffee. You can pretty much drink any kind of coffee you want. I would recommend to stay away from the, you know, Dunkin' Donuts cinnamon swirl caramel Oreo Reese's peanut butter cup banana pudding whatever coffee, because, you know, a lot of times they add certain things to those coffees to give them that flavor, and you know, you can run into sugar. A lot of them have, you know, a pretty good amount of carbs in them. So really just know what kind of coffee, you know, what's in your coffee that you're buying. Not really a big deal. I like to put in my bulletproof coffee, I'll have about a tablespoon of coconut oil. You know, I definitely use some cinnamon. There's a lot of great health benefits to cinnamon, and it tastes amazing. And then I will take this guy and I'll blend up a couple tablespoons of that heavy whipping cream you saw in my fridge. It just tastes great in a coffee, and you know, the key is to actually whip it. You don't have to have a KitchenAid mixer to whip whipping cream. You can use a whisk, but I just find it really easy because I can throw it in there, you know, let it, you know, whip up and go and cook my breakfast, and you know, it'll be done in a couple minutes. And so I put all that together basically, and you know, another trick I found pretty useful is to put it all in a magic bullet, or you know, a different kind of blender, something like this, because it's really hard to get the consistency right when you put all that stuff in your coffee, because the oils and stuff tend to separate a lot. Coconut oil and MCT oils are both crucial in the bulletproof coffee, and these are medium chain triglycerides. They'll actually give you an almost instantaneous source of energy. I really hope this video helps, and I look forward to sharing some more information with you guys, and helping you guys change your lives, you know, one step at a time. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at ajrunsonketones@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram, ajrunsonketones, or my Facebook page, Ketone Driven Warrior. Thanks again.